Prince Harry sat upright in his chair, hands folded loosely in his lap, jaw relaxed but eyes alert. The studio of The View hummed with its usual controlled chaos, stage lights blazing, producers whispering through headsets, audience members leaning forward with that familiar hunger for tension. It was supposed to be a conversation. That word had been used no fewer than 6 times in the pre-show briefing. A conversation. Joy Behar adjusted the stack of cue cards in front of her, lips curved in a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She glanced sideways at Harry, then at the camera, then back to him again. "So," she began, voice light, playful on the surface, "Prince Harry, though I guess you prefer just Harry now." A ripple of laughter from the audience. Harry smiled politely. "Harry's fine." Joy nodded, then leaned back in her chair. "Good, because titles come with responsibility, don't they? Especially when you abandon them." The smile stayed on Harry's face, but something in his eyes sharpened. Whoopi Goldberg shifted slightly beside Joy. Sunny Hostin glanced down at her notes. The producers' voices in the control room dropped in volume, instinctively sensing a turn. Harry replied calmly, "I didn't abandon responsibility. I stepped away from an institution that—" Joy interrupted him, hand raised. "Oh come on. Millions of people would love that institution. Palaces, protection, privilege. And you left, to complain. On Netflix." The audience murmured. A few clapped, a few didn't. Harry inhaled slowly, visibly choosing restraint. "With respect, Joy, that's not what." Joy leaned forward now, eyes sharp. "Respect goes both ways. Some might say walking away while still cashing the checks isn't exactly noble." The word noble landed heavy. The studio temperature seemed to drop a degree. Harry's fingers tightened together. "I've never cashed a royal check since leaving." Joy waved her hand dismissively. "Book deals, speaking fees, interviews. Let's not pretend you're struggling." A producer whispered urgently into Joy's earpiece, but she ignored it. Harry's voice remained even, but quieter now. This was meant to be a discussion about mental health and service. Joy tilted her head, "And yet here we are talking about entitlement. Funny how that happens." The audience reaction split, half applause, half uneasy silence. Whoopi finally interjected, "Joy." But Joy wasn't finished. "You know," she continued, "some people would say your problems are, how should I put this, luxury problems. Meanwhile real people." Harry raised his hand slightly. Not aggressive, controlled. "May I finish one sentence?" he asked. The audience hushed. Joy paused, eyebrows raised. "Go ahead." Harry looked directly at her, not the camera. "You don't get to decide whose pain is valid." Silence. Not dramatic silence. Real silence, the kind that makes producers stop breathing. Joy's smile faltered for the first time. "Oh, please, you're a prince." "I was a child," Harry replied, voice steady but low, "when my mother died in front of the world. And for decades, I was told to stay quiet about what that did to me. I won't apologize for speaking now." The audience erupted. Not applause this time, but gasps, murmurs, shifting bodies. Joy crossed her arms. "So this is emotional blackmail now." That was it. Harry's posture changed. Not angry, not loud, but immovable. "No," he said, "this is me setting a boundary." A red warning light flashed on the producer's console. Joy scoffed. "You came on this show knowing you'd be challenged." "I came here expecting respect," Harry replied. "There's a difference." Whoopi leaned forward, voice firm. "All right, let's take a breath." But Joy shook her head. "No, I'm tired of the victim narrative. You left the job, Harry. Own it." Harry stood, not abruptly, not theatrically. He simply stood. The audience froze. Cameras scrambled to reframe. A producer whispered, "Harry, Harry." Harry adjusted his jacket and looked at Whoopi, then Sunny, then finally back at Joy. "I will always own my choices," he said. "But I won't sit here while someone reduces trauma to a punchline." Joy opened her mouth. Harry raised a hand, not to silence her, but to signal finality. "This interview is over for me." He turned toward the stage exit. The audience exploded, some clapping, some shouting, some stunned into silence. Joy stared after him, face pale. Is he seriously walking out? The stage manager rushed forward, trying to intercept Harry off camera. Whoopi exhaled sharply. "Well, that just happened." The red live light still burned. And America watched as Prince Harry disappeared backstage, leaving behind a studio full of shock, and a conversation that had gone far beyond the script. The host glanced nervously at the clock, sensing the shift in energy. What had started as a polite interview was rapidly spiraling into a full-blown confrontation. The audience, initially polite, now murmured and whispered, feeling the tension reach a boiling point. Joy leaned forward, her hands clasped together on the desk, eyes gleaming with challenge. "Harry, let's cut to the chase. Some people think you play the victim. You talk about pressures, but what about the impact on the public perception of the monarchy? The controversies you've sparked." Harry's patience frayed, though his exterior remained composed. He leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice with a controlled intensity. "I'm not here to defend the monarchy. I'm here to speak truthfully about my experience and to focus on what I can do to help people. That's what matters, and that's what I've always prioritized." Joy's voice rose, sharp and cutting. "Truthfully, or selectively, you criticize, but you don't acknowledge the privileges you still enjoy. Let's be honest, doesn't this interview serve your personal brand more than your causes?" A ripple ran through the audience. The tension was tangible. Harry's jaw tightened. He had come to discuss serious work, charity, mental health, education, and yet he was being cornered into defending himself against accusations he had anticipated but hoped to avoid. "Joy," Harry began, his tone firm, carrying a weight that made the room go quiet, "I respect your questions, but this line of attack undermines the work I'm doing. You may want drama, but I'm here to make an impact." Joy leaned back, smiling in a way that was almost predatory. "Drama, maybe, but honesty hurts, doesn't it?" Harry's gaze hardened. He had been taught to remain diplomatic, to avoid confrontations that could spiral out of control, but this was beyond testing boundaries. The words of his late mother, Princess Diana, echoed in his mind, "Stand firm, speak your truth, and never let fear control you." "I will not be belittled on live television," Harry said, his voice now cutting through the air like steel. The audience gasped. The studio went silent, save for the faint hum of the cameras. "I came here to discuss issues that matter, not to have my character questioned in a sensationalized circus. I'm leaving if this continues." Joy's eyes widened, momentarily taken aback. The audience could feel the shift. The tension was now electric, practically tangible. The host tried to intervene. "Harry, let's..." But Harry had already made his decision. Standing, his posture regal and commanding, he fixed Joy with a steady gaze. "I will not tolerate this. Good day." The audience erupted. Gasps, whispers, some applause for his bravery, others shocked at the confrontation. Harry strode toward the exit, each step echoing in the silent awe of the studio. Joy, momentarily stunned, looked after him, the confident mask slipping for a fraction of a second. As Harry reached the stage exit, the studio doors swung open. Crew members scrambled, trying to manage the chaos. Cameras continued rolling, capturing every stunned expression, every whisper among the audience. Harry paused at the doorway, turning to deliver a final statement. "I stand for truth and for the causes that matter. I will not compromise my integrity for ratings or spectacle." Then he was gone. Silence blanketed the studio for a heartbeat before the host regained composure. "Well, that was certainly unexpected." The audience erupted into applause, some shouting their admiration for Harry's courage, others in disbelief at the explosive confrontation they had just witnessed. Joy Behar sat frozen for a moment, processing what had just occurred. She had gone toe-to-toe with royalty, but today, it had been her turn to be stunned. As the cameras continued to roll, the realization dawned, this episode would be talked about for months. Headlines would scream, social media would explode, and one thing was certain. Prince Harry had made his stance crystal clear, and the View would never forget the day a royal walked out. The audience slowly began to settle, but the energy in the studio remained charged. Something monumental had happened, and everyone felt it. Harry had refused to be cornered, refused to be played. In that moment, he had reclaimed not just his dignity, but the narrative itself. The cameras finally cut to a commercial, the staff exhaling in relief, while Joy leaned back in her chair, contemplating her next move. The confrontation had ended, but its consequences were just beginning.